Jenny Safran's Infant Learning Lab, where we study how babies learn language.
Cool.
Jeremy, I'm assuming that you don't want me to look in the camera. Is that true?
You can if you want. Yeah, there's no law of the land here. So, apart from your work as a scientist here in this lab, how do you spend your time?
The main thing that I do to like unwind, I love playing music. I play guitar and sing as like a small kid who was like forced to learn the piano
Right,
and
yeah,
hated
me too.
it. And now, you know, I hated it so much as a kid. It was just a chore.
At first, learning music was a chore, and then now it's the thing that helps you unwind.
Yeah, it's great. It's funny how those things work. I'm super grateful that I had that foundation like hammered into me over time. It also makes me wish that I like cared about it more then, because it could actually be good. But you know.
So you used to be an actor or a singer on stage, or?
Yeah, I used to act. I acted in a play by Alan Ayckbourn called Comic Potential, about a not too distant future where robots are advanced enough that they can play actors in like really cheesy soaps. I play this ambitious, young, idealistic writer who comes in and wants to like save television and do meaningful work.
Tell us about the most memorable job that you've had over the years.
Right out of high school, I was a substitute teacher in my high school again. I started studying business, and in Germany you don't really do like this very broad program of study in your undergrad. You start studying a subject from your first semester. So I started doing business, and like first week I knew, oh wow, this is so not what I want to be doing in any way. So I kind of stuck with it that one term, but then basically aborted that and decided that I wanted to do something else. But that left me like with like 2, 3, 4 months to fill before the next term started up. And the school's like, do you want to teach here? And so I went back to my high school. I say high school, but it's 5th to 13th grade.
Wow.
So I went back like the year that I graduated, I went back to my school and started teaching 5th to 10th grade in all sorts of different subjects. It was kind of weird.
So you grew up in Germany?
Yeah, I grew up in Germany. We should have fit that in at some point in the interview. Yeah, I was born in Germany to American parents. My parents worked for the Army as civilians. My mom's an architect, my dad's an engineer. They took jobs with the Army and ended up loving working in Germany, and so they stayed there for a long time.
Do you think people see you as a scientist when you explain what you do?
I guess I think people's prototype of scientist doesn't necessarily match the way that my work actually happens. Like, our lab, it doesn't look like people's prototype of what a science lab looks like, right? I don't put on goggles, I don't put on lab coat. Most of my work is actually sitting in front of a computer, like running statistics on data or programming an experiment, you know. One of the interesting things about the subject matter that I study is that everybody has an opinion on it already, too. Like, it's not like I study, you know, this neural transcription factor and the downstream consequences that it has, you know. Yeah, those weirdos.
So you research how babies acquire language.
So what we're really interested in are like mechanism. How do they learn the rules of their language? How do they learn to distinguish the sounds that are relevant for their language? How in one continuous stream of language that goes like this, without breaks like this is my mentor's famous example, how do they figure out where the words are? Learning French, I always had the difficulty, I could figure out in this long stream of like where the words were. That was the hardest part. Like if I could see the words, like I knew what the individual words were, but just like parsing that auditory stream always seemed like a really hard problem. And as a baby, you know, like you're not able to see the words in any way, and yet you're able to parse that continuous stream of auditory input at some point to isolate individual words.
Is science just something for the scientists?
No, I don't think so at all. I think science is deeply human in a way.
Once people had listened to your science a little bit, a lot of people wanted to jump in and talk about it too.
Yeah. I'm not sure how well that generalizes to every topic.
Sure.
I am convinced that every topic can be made to be interesting and can be like broken down to a level that people will be engaged in it, because like that's the reason that people are doing the work in the first place, is because they were inspired. Like they got curious about it. It's often easier in my case sometimes. Like some people are like language, like learn language, like why we learn language? Yeah. So like it just doesn't resonate with some people. But with a lot of people it really does. It really resonates with parents. They're really interested in their developing kid, and I've never been a parent, but I can imagine it must be fascinating to watch like this little organism grow up, and and like the extent to which that we can help add something, enrich that experience with their child in some way. I think that's wonderful.
Well, Martin, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
My pleasure, David.